Guys, it's Dreamer coming at you again with another video. Today I'm not making a beat, I'm not mixing a beat, I'm not arranging a beat, but I'm just here just to answer a question. Well, I guess a series of questions. A lot of times people usually ask me what DAW I use. And before I get started, I'm going to say this. In my opinion, it really doesn't matter what DAW you use or if you're using hardware to create what you create. I think the important thing is to be able that whatever you use allows you to create how you want. Like whatever you use allows you to be the most creative as possible, because sometimes technology can get in the way if it allows you to have to think too much to try to, figure out how to do this and do that. So honestly, that, so before I get started, I'm just going to let you know that I'm really not just biased towards any DAW, but I'm going to let you know what I use. So with that being said, make sure you guys hit that like button and subscribe, because we got a lot of good things going on over here, a lot of good information, and really trying to build that community. So yeah. Okay, so let's get into it. This video is going to really be about 5 reasons why I love Studio One. I'm going to elaborate on those reasons because it's more than 5 reasons, but to me, these were the most, I guess, the most important reasons why. And for if you've been following my channel for some time, or just maybe browse through some of my older videos, you'll notice that I was a big Cubase user, and I still love Cubase to this day. But I think as far as producing and mixing, like producing beats and mixing and stuff like that, doing both, I think Studio One just kind of gave me the tools that I needed, made it a little bit smoother to do everything. And when I got a chance to see how smooth it was, and some of the tools that it just laid out for you, I was in. I mean, after that, you didn't have to twist my arm for me to really get involved in like the macros and a lot of stuff that you can do. So, but let me get into it, because I'm kind of just giving you some information right now. So number one is going to be integration. Integration is very key. I come from a time where I know y'all see the gray in my beard. So I've actually been recording probably since maybe 2004, maybe. So, I mean, and at that point, I mean, I was just kind of used to hardware. So with that being said, I love the fact that they not only make software, but they also have hardware as far as DAW controllers. They also have the Studio Live mixer, and I would love to get my hands on the Studio Live mixer because I really want to push it to the limits. Some of the videos that I saw, they kind of give you the basics, but I just really want to push it to the limits as far as people who are trying to sum through the board and just seeing everything that you can do with it. And shout out to Joe Gilder, because he he has some really great videos about Studio One and how he uses the Studio Live, and he's really honest. So, but like I was saying, so the hardware they have, like with the Fader Port 8 and the Fader Port 16, I love the Fader Port 8 and the Fader Port 16, but one of the things that I kind of dislike about it, and maybe it's just because me and the genetics, these hands are very big. So the small, kind of solo and mute buttons, they just, I mean, they made it affordable, but it's just really small. So I usually find myself with the mouse trying to hit the mute and solo buttons on those. But I do love that it has the solo clear, mute clear, and I can, I can actually go through my tracks, and if I just want to go through the MIDI tracks and the bus tracks and or the audio tracks and stuff like that, that makes it really cool to use. But honestly, I think my next move is probably going to be the Studio Live. So with that being said, integration is pretty much, to me, I like a mix of hardware and software, and Presonus really does that for me. And honestly, like the Atom SQ and different things like that, you can't beat it. It's just they are really ahead of the game as far as, you know, integration. And I think integration is something that more companies need to really get into, just like with Ableton with the push. I mean, you can do so much with the push, and I mean, it just gives you like a different tool to create easily. And even the chords and scales features like Machine, the integrative software and hardware is genius level. And I think that Presonus is there. So honestly, that's one of the reasons why I left Cubase, because of course I could use the faders and the transport controls and stuff like that, but there was so much that I didn't use that I wanted to use, just to be able to single out my bus tracks or my VCA channels, and, you know, or just audio channels or whatever. I mean, and I actually have some macros mapped, and so it was cool. So integration is definitely key. Number 2 is going to be speed, and not just the drag and drop features. The drag and drop features are very good, but also with speed. Just let me, okay, so here, okay, so if let me go through a different sound, because if you don't have headphones on, you're probably not gonna be able to hear those kicks. So let's say so let's say I like this snare. Right click, send to a new sample 1, and I'm ready to go. And the reason why that is so important is because when I'm in the groove of making a track, and I just have it looping, and I'm just listening to stuff, head bobbing, and just, you know, going through some sounds, I need speed. And honestly, that's speed to me. I don't have to go and create an instrument and then, you know, drag that over, or go through a loop menu and then browse for the sound again. I can right click it from right there and throw it over, and it just creates a track. It does everything I needed to do in like 2 clicks, the right click and the click on send to new sample 1. And that keeps that creativity going. So speed is key when it comes to music making, and just making sure you stay in that creative groove. Number 3, all right, they have musician focused features. And what I mean by that is like the chord, well, not the chord, the chord track that's definitely good. Cubase has had that for quite some time as well. But what I like about theirs is I love, well, more than the chord track, I love the scales feature, because I will use this 9 times out of 10 when I'm trying to get my melody the way I want it to sound and kind of take it to new levels. Sometimes it helps. Sometimes I will do it by ear, but sometimes it's helpful just to know what scale it's in, because I can just, for most melodies, I can right click and go to detect key signature, and it will give me the key signature, and it'll automatically, you know, set my song to it. So all I have to do is just hit this check mark right here. So that right there, man, that feature alone, it definitely helps me, because it's built in, because I do have a Scalar 2. I have Scalar 1 and Scalar 2, and those are very, very good. Those are very good VSTs if you have them, but being that this is built in, it kind of goes into that speed category as well. And not only that, they have note repeat. They also have like a pattern mode, step record. I mean, the list goes on. So to me, it just kind of keeps me musical. And even though I'm not using all these features all the time, it's good to have them there, because they normally come in handy when I least expect it. Number 4, the mix tools. And what I mean by the mix tools, see how I have my quick, my quick stuff going on, like for the inspector, the edit window and my mix window, that's quick to me. That's quicker than clicking on my mouse. And I know some of you guys say, yeah, well, but to me, I like to be hands-on. I'm just used to it. It makes me work better. And there's nothing wrong if you use a keyboard. I've seen guys that have keyboard shortcuts that will make, that'll make the most well-versed engineer, they'll stop him in his tracks. There's some gurus out there with the keyboard shortcuts. I've seen people play keys on their keyboards and it's amazing, but I like to have my hardware and my faders. Okay, so number 4 was the mix tools. And I love the mix tools. The fact that you can have the input controls here, because honestly, I had that that's been in Cubase for quite some time. And so you have your phase, controls here, your polarity controls, or whatever you want to call them. But honestly, another big ups to the integration is, let's say, normally, you're in track mode when you're controlling your tracks. But if you hit shift and pan, now all of a sudden I have control over my input controls. And that makes so much of a difference. Because honestly, being a mixing engineer as well, that definitely helps me, even while I'm making some music. I mean, because if you're a producer, you know how loud Omnisphere sounds are. So honestly, if I'm actually making some music or even mixing something or arranging something and I just need to drag something in, and if you have a couple compressors and some stuff like that, group channels and stuff like that, like you might need to pull down the input gain and stuff like that, so you can actually browse through the sounds without blowing your eardrums out. So I mean, and even the mix effects, these right here, like the Alpine desk, the brick console, and I did a video on these too. So these things, they sound amazing. And one of the things that I really love about it is they're not just straight on like saturation. The different modules, they sound very different. I'm not going to tell you that this will replace analog summon and you get an analog gear. I'm not telling you that, but what I am saying that these are amazing. These are amazing audio effects, and one of the main features that I like is that they have a noise gate for the noise. And what I mean by that is, if you listen very carefully, you'll be able to hear it's almost like a tape saturation sound. But if I turn the noise gate on, it turns off until the music is played. And the reason why that's so important to me, because on my Waves plugin on the CLA 76, I love using that compressor, but I hate using the noise on it because it just continuously plays no matter what. Like, so when I stop my track, and just because it's on, it would continuously run, and under compression and stuff like that, it gets kind of loud, and it just, I end up turning it off. So having the noise gate for the tape saturation or the tape hiss or whatever you want to call it, to me, that's another big thing. It's a small thing, that's a big thing when it comes to mixing. But these console shapers and stuff like that, guys, when I tell you the different modules, they sound really good. Like the which one is it that I'm usually using? Like the custom one, this sounds really good. Like it does something to the low end, and this one as well. And this one kind of gives you kind of like a low mid punchiness. Like if you have maybe you have something with just, that's kind of like an acoustic type of setup and you just want to thicken it up. So you just have to try them, guys. And lastly, number 5, it's going to be the macros. You can, and honestly, I've been trying to figure it out, and I haven't yet, but you can just go crazy with the macros. And what I mean, excuse me, I've seen some videos where people actually create macros to create chords, to create melodies and stuff like that. I don't know how to do it just yet, but not only that, I mean, I can set up macros to be on my function buttons here, and as you can see, it has quite a bit of function buttons and user buttons, and you can do just about anything with the macros. I mean, when I say anything, I'm talking about anything, like stuff that you probably would be like, nah, you couldn't do that. If you go in the macros page, type it in, I'm pretty sure you'll be able to do it. But I'm not going to make this very, very long. But honestly, Presonus is a really great company, and I just really wanted to share how I just really wanted to share with you guys on why I switched from Cubase to Studio One and ended up loving Studio One, because it seems like they just kind of had the tools that I needed to make music making, like it made it more smoother. It just allowed me to be more creative. I was able to move a lot faster. Some of the tools that I would have to use externally in other programs were built into the software. So with that being said, it makes it easier without me having to try to, buy another VST to do something that's already built into this one. The DAW seemed more complete. And also having stuff like Melodyne, and I mean, the list goes on. But I'm going to end that right here, man. I appreciate you guys for sticking with me through this video. And if you actually, and guys, comment down below what you use, because honestly, I would like Presonus to know that they create really good products. And with the Presonus Sphere membership thing, I think it's like $15.99 for Studio One 5 Pro, and everything they have, pretty much, you can't beat it. Because I think for the year it's like $169, so you still coming out on top. I think when I upgraded, when I bought Cubase, the Pro version, I think it was like $5.99. So and even with the yearly updates are like $200. And that's not a shot at Cubase, but what I'm saying is, I'm just letting you know that this is worth it. For the price, to me, you get more value for your money. So I guess I'm just gonna end it right here, guys. But make sure you guys tune in, like, subscribe, all that stuff, and check out Studio One if you haven't, and comment down below what you like or dislike about Studio One. All right, peace.